Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Book of Brianna, a podcast. I am your host, Dr. Brianna Whiteside, and I want to ask you, this is the question that I'm going to be asking you every time you see me on the podcast. How's your heart? I know the holidays are coming up this week. I can't believe that Thanksgiving is literally Thursday, and I know that the holidays are difficult for a lot of people, and so I want to check in with you to see how you're feeling. How's your heart? How's your mind? How are your emotions? How are you faring? Take some time to check in with yourself, okay? Don't think I'm just asking you this and not caring. I want you to check in because I often have to check in with myself daily, sometimes hourly, but I want you to go ahead and get into the habit of actually checking in with you and seeing how you're doing. And no shame. If you're struggling through, you're struggling through, but the good news is that you're going to get through. If you are doing well, I love it. Congratulations to you. Make sure you try to strengthen your brother. That's what the word tells you to do. Strengthen your brother. Okay. But yeah, so today, y'all, look, y'all hear this, I don't know, whatever this is going around. I've had some type of health challenge since the beginning of the month, and we are literally about to close this month out, and so I need whatever this is to go ahead and loose me and let me go. So if y'all can just be in prayer with me about that, because I don't have time for it. And I really also think this is kind of like a little bit of backlash and a little bit of spiritual attack, because guess what? The Let There Be challenge is starting tomorrow. Well, not the challenge itself, the Q&A. The emails are going out tomorrow. The live Q&A is tomorrow, and then my live teaching is on Tuesday, and then the challenge begins on Wednesday. And so if you have not signed up for the Let There Be challenge, you need to do so on my website. If you don't sign up for on the site, you're actually going to miss out a lot. You're going to miss out on all the freebies because they're going out to the mailing list specifically. You're going to miss out on all the ebooks. You're going to miss out on a lot of communication. I don't want that to be your portion. If you have decided to be part of the challenge, I want you to be fully invested in the entire experience, because this year it is going to be an experience like none other. So if you're interested in joining, go ahead and head over to briannawhiteside.com. Click the little, you're going to see a pop-up. Click that pop-up. Do not sign up for my mailing list if that's not what you want to do. My mailing list and the challenge mailing list are two completely different lists, y'all. So make sure you navigate through that pop-up that you see, join the challenge, and then sign up there. Now, if you just want to be part of my mailing list, go ahead and join the insiders box. You're going to see that's going to say be an insider. That's my regular mailing list. Nevertheless, in today's video, I want to talk to you about how the Nos of God really set you up. And not the nose like smelling, your smelling instrument, but the N-O, the N-O-S, the plural Nos of God are actually set up for a greater purpose. The reason why I started thinking about the Nos of God is because I've had a lot of them over the years. And if you look back over your life, you've probably had a God say no to you a lot. And I don't like it. I'm going to be the first to admit, I don't like when God tells me no, because I'm like, how dare you? How dare you tell me no? But that's also like that God-like nature in me rising, like, no, I'm supposed to be able to. I'm supposed to be able to do blah, blah, blah. But as I've said in several blogs on my website and everything else, even in our God-like nature, we know that it would behoove us to sit on down, to give God that authority. Yes, we still have authority, but we know as believers, it would be in our best interest if we just went ahead and obeyed him, right? I say all that to say, I've had a lot of no's in my life, and a lot of them were hard no's. I remember looking at my computer fairly recently, and this is how I came to this topic. And I was cleaning off my desktop, and I stumbled across this, the first time I knew that God was actually speaking to me and guiding my steps. And it was back in 2017, and I had applied to go to Princeton's theological school. To get a master's in theology at Princeton. And I thought it was going to be a wonderful opportunity because I was, I was kind of starting my spiritual journey with God. I wanted to learn more. And when I got into the school, and I'm going to go ahead and drop the acceptance letter in this video, When I got into the school and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go, God was like, no. He said no. That was the first time I think that I was really aware that he was telling me no. And in my mind, I'm like, it doesn't make sense for you to tell me no, especially if I'm doing this to know more about you, if I'm doing this to, you know, serve you more, if I'm doing this to learn about the faith and all the things. I would think you would say yes. I would think this was a good idea, right? This is a good idea. My intentions are pure. But he still said no. And as I sat there thinking, like, why would you tell me no in 2017? And now we're fast forward and we're about to step into 2024. It all makes sense. Now, of course, you know, it don't make sense in the moment because all you can see is what's happening right now. But it all makes sense because had I gone to theology school, y'all, I think my faith would have been tested, number one. And of course, in life, we have enough experiences that test our faith. But I also think that I wouldn't be as strong in my convictions as I am now. I would not be as, I guess, maybe interested in God as I am now. Because I've heard, this is only hearsay, I don't have any proof, but I've heard that people who often sometimes go to seminary or theology school, they maybe leave not believers anymore. Their understanding or their foundations have been tested so much that going through that process at such a vulnerable time in their faith or newly developing faith, that it causes them to actually walk away from the faith. I don't know if that would have been me. It could have been, but I just know that God said no to me. All right, cool. So then, you know, of course, I intimately know the Nos of God in relationships. I don't even want to talk about that because I got a lot of questions. But I do know when God's like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it. And I'm like, well, who's it? If this ain't it, come on now. Who's it? But I also know, like, you know, when we're dating and we're trying to find someone suitable, we have to find someone suitable for our future, for our calling, and not just our right now. And so that's a whole different challenge. But the Nos of God, I got another case. I remember this was 2018. I was trying to write my first book, and I had a very well-known couple at the time. They had launched their publishing company, and I thought, okay, and they were a Christian couple, and I was like, well, I'm writing my first book, and even though, you know, I could go the self-publishing route, I could do all of these things, I think kind of having the clout under their publishing company would, you know, allow me to, you know, flex, to get more, to position me in the faith circles like I want to be, because I don't have no connections. It would help me to be more visible because they have platforms and they were, you know, sharing people's books. Sorry. They were sharing people's books. Like, I thought that this would be a good idea, and they actually accepted my book, even though I didn't have the money to publish with them, right? I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have to put this on my credit card. Y'all know I was living on credit cards at the time. I'm just gonna have to put this on my credit card and I'm gonna go publish it with this company. And God was like, no. And I was like, what you mean no? Because they accepted, you know, my idea and everything, but they said no. He said no. And I was shocked, because I'm like, again, this would be a good thing for me. Again, this would be great for me, right? He said no. I didn't know that a few years later I would open my own publishing company, right? I didn't know that, just like with the theology school, I didn't know that if I would allow the Holy Spirit to lead me and guide me and use all of the tools and resources that they may use in, you know, the seminary and theological schools and things like that, they are readily available to the public. I didn't know that if I got those tools and let the Holy Spirit lead me, that I would actually be learning and studying and actually teaching other people about the kingdom and things that I'm studying in the Bible. I didn't know that. I didn't know that no would set me up to do what I'm doing now. Just like publishing my first book, I didn't know that no would allow me to be in a position to help faith authors who want to eventually publish their books and want someone to walk alongside them and all the things. I would be in position to help those people. I didn't know. Those no's, they bothered me at the time. And I know that they too bother you. When God tells you no, how do you react? Because in my flesh, in my humanness, I want to fall out and throw a tantrum. I'm just telling the truth. I want to fall out and throw a tantrum because I'm like, this will literally set me up, God. This will set me up for success. This will help me, you know, do all the things that you're asking me to do. This will help me bring in more people. This will help me do all these things. And he's still like, no. And it's not until you get further into the journey that you start to realize why God will tell you no in one season and make you go through the process, a long process. Don't nobody like that. I don't like no long process either, but I've been in one for a long time. He'll make you go through that long process. He'll take you that scenic route, because why? Sometimes, y'all, he wants to build your character. Had I gone to theology school and got that master's of theology from Princeton, y'all think I got the big head now? And then I would have had connections earlier on, baby, bye. You wouldn't be able to tell Brianna Whiteside nothing. I would not be as humble. I probably wouldn't even be doing what I'm doing right now, because I was also easily impressionable. I was also, like, I was still kind of learning about my identity at the time. And I'm not talking about my kingdom identity. I'm talking about my individual identity. I was still learning about my identity at the time. And I could have easily found my identity in that type of stuff, because at one point in my life, I had found my identity in my academic appointments and all of my accolades, all of that stuff. And then God, being God, stripped me of it. He ain't stripped me, but what he did was showed me that they ain't gonna mean nothing. So I would be over here achieving, and I'd be over here excited and rah rah rah, and guess what? They still felt empty. It still didn't feel like nothing. I was just out here achieving for no reason, and I'm like, yo, what's going on? So he was literally protecting me from maybe going down the wrong path prematurely, maybe going down somewhere, or connecting with people, or connecting with things or ideologies that would actually taint the pureness of who he's created me to be. So it was the theology no, and it was the publishing no, that I was just like, all right. And to actually still serve God after a series of no's takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of strength. But I also think that it takes a lot of courage and strength to know that you've heard him and that you will obey, even though it looks like he's wrong. It looks like he's wrong sometimes, right? Like from your vantage point, from where you're standing, if you would allow me to do blah, 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 I wouldn't be doing blah, 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 blah. Right? I wouldn't be struggling like I'm struggling. I wouldn't be going through what I'm going through. I wouldn't, all the things. But the no's of God, as I am getting over that season of no's and starting to step into the seasons of yeses and the promises, because they have been on hold for a long time. Don't look at my life and think Brianna just popped up. No. I gave my life to Christ at 24. I'm 34. I spent 10 years on the backside of the desert. I spent 10 years of training. It's been 10 years, and I'm still in training ground. I'm still on training ground. I'm still getting a taste slapped out of my mouth. I'm still crying, spitting, and farting. I'm still like, Lord, win. Even though it's dawning, I'm still going through trainings, series of them, back to back to back to back. So don't think this is, you know, because you've come into the knowledge of me maybe this year, or even with the Let There Be challenge, that I've just popped up, I've just arrived. No, y'all, I've been at this for 10 years. I've been crying out in the wilderness, literally living in Las Vegas, the desert. I know people come to Vegas to turn up, but it is the desert. Living in the desert for years, moving my life, uprooting it every few years for school or career, things like that, or God telling me what to do. I've gone through a lot of trying times, a lot of seasons of getting the taste slapped out my mouth. But it is in those no seasons, and now that I am stepping into the yes seasons, that I am able to look back and say, I understand why you did that. It's just like this. I talk a lot about my mom and how disciplined, how much of a disciplinarian she was. And she was very strict on me. I was the first child. I was the first girl. You know, of course, my mom was a teen parent, so she was very strict. She didn't want me to repeat some of the mistakes that she had made. And so I didn't understand then why she did that. I didn't. I thought it was too much. I thought it was overkill. I thought it was unnecessary. I mean, y'all, I had a curfew. I think my curfew was like 9 or 10 o'clock in high school. And the party was just getting started at 9 or 10 o'clock in high school. Now, mind you, I was also in extracurricular activities. I also had a job. But on the weekend, if I wanted to go to the high school party, 9 or 10 o'clock was my curfew. And I was just like, yo, like, why? I mean, it's so unfair. It's so uncool. Like, yeah, the party started at 7, but ain't nobody getting there till like 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30. And they out here balling and having a great time. And I'm in a crib. Now, this is before like Instagram. But I'm in a crib looking stupid and crying and just sad. Just sad because I got curfew. But now that I've made it out of Chicago, now that I look back on the people who I wanted to be like, right, my classmates in high school and what they were doing, we live totally different lives. I mean, night and day. Our lives are night and day. How we look are night and day. What we believe are night and day. And now I understand why my mom, even though I didn't understand why she was so strict on me then, I do understand now, and I can appreciate her foresight. I can appreciate why she said, no, you're gonna come on home. I know you mad. I know you don't like it, but my job ain't to be your friend. My job is to protect you. My job is to try to keep you safe, steer you in the right direction. And yeah, I didn't understand it then, but now at 34, I see it clearly. I think I started to see it really, really clearly at 30. Like, yeah, yeah, I'm grateful for the discipline. Now, no discipline feels good at the present moment. You know that's in your scripture. But if you make it on the other side of the no, on the other side of the chastisement of God, you will have a greater appreciation for your process, but also a greater appreciation for you and your destiny and who you're becoming. It's not going to feel good in the moment. Being told no, you even know this. If you've tried to fast or deny yourself something that you wanted, it hurts your feelings. Every time. You didn't want to do it. Even working out. And I am, a workout person. Even working out doesn't feel good sometimes. When you're lifting heavier weights, when you're straining, your body don't want to do that. Your body does not want to transform. You literally have to beat it into submission. That's what your process is doing for you. That's what the no's of God are doing for you. The no's are beating you into submission so that you can come under his mission. So that you are able to fully become everything that you were created to be. And you don't fully become everything you created to be by getting everything you want. You don't. And I know we like to, demonize people who were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. But the truth is, someone in their family did something that would set the lineage up. Which means that if you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth or a leg up, somebody in your family did not do something to set you up. And you can't be mad at the other people. You should just get mad at the folks who came before you, your ancestors. But here's the thing. The good thing is that you get to die with a silver spoon in your mouth and set up the people who come after you if you do the hard thing, if you stick with the no's of God, if you obey. Obedience is hard. Full stop. It's hard. You're not going to want to do it. You're not going to want to obey, because God's lessons or his discussions, they get to another level sometimes, right? So they may start off like, hey, don't do this, and he's like, all right, cool, I ain't gonna do this, I obey God. And you're proud of yourself, because at one point you would have cussed them folks out, but you heard God say, don't cuss them out, you're gonna need this job. You're like, all right, cool, I'm gonna chill out. But then that next no would be like, hey, go ahead and actually give this person $300 when $300 is all the flexible money you got, right? Then you're like, no, the devil is a liar. There's no way that the Lord will be asking me to give someone $300 when he know I need this $300. And then that next obedience test gets even more weightier. It's going to hurt your feelings. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But how else are you going to go from glory to glory? You said you are a believer. You said that Jesus Christ was the King. It was the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Is he the Lord of your life? That means that you need to obey his commands. Is he the king over your life? That means that you need to obey his commands. And that means that you need to be in alignment with the no. And you can't fall out. I recently walked through a very tough season, and I'm coming out on it on the other side of it. I can't wait to share everything with y'all. I know I've been hitting at a lot of stuff in my podcast, but I recently walked through a hard season, and I feel like it was kind of similar to, you know, when Jesus asked God, hey, if it be your will, take this bitter cup from me. Like, hey, if there's another way we could do this, can we do it? And I had a similar conversation with God, like, hey, I know what you're asking me to do, but is there any other way that I can do this and not do what you're asking, you know, me to stop doing? And he's like, no, narrow is the way. You're going to have to walk this narrow, painful path, and you're going to have to be okay. You're going to have to trust me. You're going to have to trust that you are safe. You are safe. And the hurricane inside of me, in my heart, y'all know what I mean? When it's thunder, the thunder inside of you shook, you scared. Because God, I'm like, we can go another route. There has to be another route. He's like, no, I need you to go ahead and make this decision in this season, because you can't get to the next season without making this season sacrifice. And I feel like that's what a lot of people try to do, right? We try to get to the next season without making this season sacrifice, without closing the door that God's been telling you to close in this current season, because you don't want to close that door because you can't see the next door behind that door, right? You can't see what comes after that closed door. But that's not how faith works. Faith is the evidence of things hoped for. You know your word. This is what you said when you came into the faith. You came into this truth. You decided on this path, right? Nothing was hidden from you. You had the Bible. Jesus literally tells you to count the cost. Nothing was hidden. You made this decision soberly. And you made Jesus the King and the Lord of your life soberly. You made a decision. And every time when you made that decision, he stepped into action, and that meant that he was going to parent you. That meant he was going to lead you. He was going to guide you. And that meant that sometimes you would be, you know, that ocean song that everybody used to love to sing, Spirit lead me when my trust is without borders. I don't sing that no more. I don't sing that song no more. I used to sing it, and then he started leading me, and I said, oh no. Because you asked for it. Same with Refiner. Back in 2019, I used to sing that Refiner song by Maverick City. Something about want to be tried by fire. No, absolutely not. That thing shut my mouth, and I was tried by fire for a whole year. I ain't singing that. I'm not singing them. So y'all better be careful what you offer up in emotionalism, because heaven is listening, and they're coming for your words, right? So as a good steward, as a disciple, as a person of faith that you say that you are, you have to learn to lean into the no's of God. When God gives you a no, you can't afford to run away. You can't afford to turn your back on him. You can't afford to be like, oh, you told me no, I'm going to the street. Oh, you told me no, I'm going to go do this anyway, and then just ask for forgiveness later. Yeah, he gonna forgive you, but there is a consequence associated with that disobedience. He gonna forgive you, and he gonna love you, and he's gonna restore you, but you still gonna get a consequence, because everything has consequences. Just as your decisions to obey has positive consequences, and we don't say consequences, we say blessings, your decisions to disobey have negative consequences, and you're gonna pay. You always pay. So what if you're going to pay a price? Why don't you pay the price of obedience and pay it on the front end, instead of paying the price of disobedience and paying it on the back end and then paying it with interest? Y'all know how I feel about interest. When I first got out of credit card debt, I said, no, I don't like no interest. I'm going to have to do what I got to do. But yeah, that's what I want to talk to you about. How do you respond to the no's of God? Do you pack up your belongings and head on out? Do you stop talking to him? Do you turn your back on him? The song that's been in my spirit is that Yet song by Maverick City, and the singer says, "Don't give up on me yet." And one thing that I was thinking about, because I was threatening to give up on God just a few short weeks ago, maybe not on God, but on the purpose of my life. That's what I'll say, on the calling. And the singer is saying, asking God not to give up on her yet. And then I was just thinking, what would happen if God gave up on us? Can you imagine what would happen if God gave up on us? And I just got immediately traumatized, right? Because you know that when we are separated from God, generally in hell, that is the tormenting part. I don't even want to know. But I don't want God to give up on me. And I can't afford to give up on him. Where else would I go? What else would I have? I would have nothing. I'm at this part in my life right now, y'all. All I got is God. I have nothing else. A dead woman walking. You're looking at a dead woman walking. Someone who's had to give up everything. Everything she's held dear. Everything that made her who she was. For the process that he wants to take me under. And for me to accept the things that he wants to give me. And for me to fully become and evolve, I've had to give up everything. Everything I wanted. And I do mean everything. And it's hard. It's not easy. But this is who we say we are as believers. We say we believe. Which means that you're going to have to be converted from a Christian into a believer. You're going to have to become a believer in this season. And that leaning into the Nos of God will help you become a believer. It doesn't feel like it now, but had I not leaned into the Nos in previous seasons, I would not be able to understand the no in this season. I wouldn't have had the strength, the courage, the faith to lean in this season, because I would have disregarded the opportunities to lead in the past season. So I want to ask you, how do you respond to the Nos of God? Have you obeyed the Nos? Have you did what you want to do anyway? How has that worked out for you? Let me know in the comments of the podcast. And of course, if you have not signed up for this year's Let There Be Challenge, you're going to want to do so tonight, because all of the emails that are going out tomorrow and for the rest of the challenge are only going to the people who are subscribed to the challenge. Okay, so head over to BriannaWhiteside.com if you want to be a part of this year's Let There Be Challenge. And I hope this has encouraged you. If it has, share it with a friend. Let me know in the comments, and please like the video. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.